and I hope you are ready for today's lesson. In our today's lesson, we will be looking at collective nouns. Collective nouns. But then we will go back to mark the previous homework. In our previous homework, the instruction given was that you are to identify the proper nouns in the sentences. You are to identify the proper nouns in the sentences. The topic was proper nouns, and we only looked at proper nouns of cities and towns. So, in this homework, we have other proper nouns that are not cities and towns. So we will only look for the cities and towns and underline them. Homework 1. Sam will go to Tamale with his father. Sam will go to Tamale with his father, and the answer is Tamale. Homework 2. Can we meet at Nyamransa? Can we meet at Nyamransa? We have Nyamransa as the proper noun in this sentence. She arrived in Tema before 1 o'clock p.m. She arrived in Tema before 1 o'clock p.m. Tema is the answer in this sentence. I have not gone to Obuasi before. I have not gone to Obuasi before. Obuasi is the answer. And the last but not the least, we have we went to Bulga last year. We went to Bulga last year. And the answer is Bulga. All right. So our topic for today is collective nouns. Our objective for today is that by the end of the lesson, you will be able to say what collective nouns are and also use collective nouns in a passage. You will be able to say what collective nouns are and then use collective nouns in a passage. What are collective nouns? These are names given to a group of people, animals, or things of the same kind considered as one unit. They are names given to a group of people, animals, or things of the same kind considered as one unit. For example, a group of puppies is called a litter of puppies. So these are puppies. They have grouped together, and several group of puppies are called a litter of puppies. Now let's have more examples of collective nouns. We have fruits in a basket. We have several fruits in a basket. So when you have several fruits in a basket, you can refer to them as a basket of fruits. A basket of fruits. Next is a bunch of keys. We have several keys on one holder or on two holders. So these keys together is called a bunch of keys. In the picture, you can see people singing. One person we can refer to as a singer. Now, when we have a group of singers together, we call them a choir of singers. A choir of singers. Next is a bundle of sticks. We have several sticks put together. We call them collectively as a bundle of sticks. Now you've seen pupils in a classroom. When we have pupils in a classroom, both boys and girls together, being taught or listening to a teacher, we refer to them as a class of students. A class of students. You can also see some boys and girls in the next picture. We call them crowd of students when we go for school competition. When you go for sporting activities, you meet a lot of students crowded. We call them a crowd of students. What do you see in the first picture? Ants. I hope your answer is ants. Yes, when we have several ants moving together or several ants grouped together, collectively, we call them an army of ants. An army of ants. Now, the next picture, what do you see? You see bees. Bees grouped together. We call them a hive or a swarm of bees. A swarm of bees. We have several of bees. We call them swarm of bees. A flock of sheep. Several sheep. We call them a flock of sheep. Now the next picture, we have birds. We have birds. It's not one bird, we have several of them flying together. So we call it a flock of birds. A flock of birds. Let's have more examples. Now we have singers. Some are playing guitar, some are playing drums, and we have some singing. Now, all of them together, we call them a band of musicians. All of them together, we call them a band of musicians, because we are saying collective nouns talk about several people or several things or several animals that are grouped together. So we have singers, we have some playing guitar, others playing drums. Together we call them a band of musicians. What do you see in the next picture? You can see from the way they have dressed, they are dancers. They are dancers. When we have only one, he or she is a dancer. But a group of them, or several of them, we call them troop of dancers. A troop of dancers. These are cars. different cars together. So when we have different cars together, we call them a fleet of cars. A fleet of cars. In the next picture, we have aeroplanes. That can also be called a fleet of aeroplanes, either flying together, or when you go to the airport, you meet a lot of aeroplanes that are parked. We call them a fleet of aeroplanes. What do you see in the picture? A party of friends. We have friends who are partying together. We call them a party of friends. We have several teachers seated together. Several teachers seated together. When we have more than one school together, we call them staff. So we have a staff of teachers. A staff of teachers. This is flower. We have different kinds, different colors put together. We call it a bouquet of flowers. A bouquet of flowers. Next picture, we have several books, different books with different colors, different sizes, all together. We call it a library of books. A library of books. We have more examples. These are beads on a string. We call it a string of beads. A string of beads. Next is a heap of rubbish. A heap of rubbish. Your waste in your home. If you have a pit where you dump them, others also come to dump theirs. Then we have a heap of it. We call it a heap of rubbish. We have several trees there. Several trees. If you have been to a forest before, you will meet or you will see a lot of trees together. We call them a forest of trees. Forest of trees. These are shoes. We call it pair of shoes. Pair of shoes. In the night, what do you see in the skies? You see stars crowded together. We call it galaxy of stars. You can't even count them. Galaxy of stars. Then we have a host of angels. A host of angels. Several angels. We call them a host of angels. These are footballers. They are footballers. I can see the captain or the goalkeeper dressed in jeans. Next, I can see banana. I hope you also see it. And we have several of them. We call it a bunch of bananas. A bunch of bananas. These are a bevy of ladies. A bevy of ladies. More than one lady. They are called bevy of ladies. Do you see those animals there? Yes. We have different kinds of animals together. We call them a zoo of wild animals. When you go to the zoo, you meet different animals. Some with different colors, different sizes, different shape. So all of them together we call a zoo of wild animals. Now I have a passage. We are going to read the passage together and then underline all the collective nouns in the passage. I hope you are ready. Mansa was in the fleet of cars that came to the anniversary. When she got to the school junction, he met an army of soldiers marching to the venue. When she got to the venue, the audience was already seated with bouquet of flowers. The sitting arrangement was very nice. A crowd of students, a choir of singers, a staff of teachers, and a troupe of dancers were dressed in their various uniforms to grace the occasion. We shall look at it again and then this time underline all the collective nouns in the passage. So take your time, read it on, and let's underline the collective nouns. Mansa was in the fleet of cars that came to the anniversary. When she got to the school junction, he met an army of soldiers marching to the venue. When she got to the venue, the audience was already seated. The place was well decorated with bouquet of flowers. Now we are underlining the collective nouns. We have fleet of cars, that is several cars. Several cars. Army of soldiers. Soldiers that are in a group, maybe marching together or walking together. We have bouquet of flowers. The sitting arrangement was very nice. A crowd of students, a choir of singers, a staff of teachers, and a troupe of dancers in their various uniforms to grace the occasion. Let's try to underline all the collective pronouns. We have crowd of students, meaning there were a lot of students crowded at the anniversary ground. And they had choir of singers, staff of teachers, troupe of dancers. They were all dressed in their various uniforms. Now let's have examples of collective nouns in sentences. Sentence 1. John's dog has a new litter of puppies. John's dog has a new litter of puppies. Litter of puppies is the collective noun in this sentence. We saw a flock of sheep on the road. We saw a flock of sheep on the road. Flock of sheep. Next, the swarm of bees attacked the farmers. The swarm of bees attacked the farmers. Swarm of bees. Swarm of bees is the answer. The army of soldiers attacked the robbers. The army of soldiers attacked the robbers. The collective noun in this sentence is army of soldiers. Army of soldiers. A troupe of dancers were at the festival grounds. A troupe of dancers were at the festival grounds. Troupe of dancers. Now I am going to give you 5 of them. Take your time, look out for the collective nouns and underline them. My sister bought a bouquet of flowers for her wedding. My sister bought a bouquet of flowers for her wedding. A band of musicians played at the wedding. He bought a bunch of bananas today. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes to do this. Easy for you to look out for the collective nouns in those sentences. Now let's do it together. My sister bought a bouquet of flowers for her wedding. We have bouquet of flowers. A band of musicians played at the wedding. A band of musicians played at the wedding. Band of musicians. Band of musicians. He bought a bunch of bananas today. He bought a bunch of bananas today. The answer is bunch of bananas. Bunch of bananas. They bought a new pair of shoes for her sister. They bought a new pair of shoes for their sister. Sorry. A class of students walked to the assembly hall. A class of students walked to the assembly hall. We have class of students as the collective noun in the last sentence. It's now time for you to copy the homework and then take them home and do it. You are going to fill in the blanks with the following words below. Fill in the blanks with the following words below. We have swam, basket, class, flock, crowd. The dash of the sheep were in the valley, so you look for one there and then you place them in the spaces provided. The dash of students were working in the garden. There is a dash of fruits on the table. The dash of soldiers marched on the field. He was chased by a dash of bees. So I'm going to give you time to copy. I give you 3 minutes to copy the homework. Well, learners, I hope you understood the lesson very well. So take your time and then underline and then fill in the blanks with those words up there. We've come to the end of today's lesson. I hope to see you again. Bye-bye.